Okay, so welcome back to part four, Shabty Bone on the fatigues, of course. And this is actually the final part of this tutorial. So I could have gone a lot further than I did, but I still think I went a little bit further than tabletop in this instance. And to be honest, the amount of time I've been pouring into trying to get this done has been insane. So, but it's nice to get this tutorial finally finished. So you will at least have a tutorial that you can follow now, parts 1 to 4. So that's good. So as you can see, I'm just going over the raised sort of areas of the fatigues and the uniform, and areas where they might be appear a bit lighter in color. So yeah, the Ushabti bone. It was more of just a cleanup stage, really. This one after the whole wash thing, and that's good. As you can see, and I'll tell you now, I didn't bother with the eyes on this model for this tutorial. They are very small. Bear in mind they're just normal human beings, like the Cadians and whatever else. Well, she's a human, isn't she? Minka Lesk, which is what I was referring to. The human size scale, they're not quite as heroic as, say, Space Marines and things like that, where it's easy to paint lenses and things. They're very, very recessed, the eye sockets in Minka Lesk on this particular pose, or this particular version of her. There are a couple different versions of her. This is like, the one you can buy like separate. But yeah, there's many ways you can go with this tutorial if you want to increase it. I was just making sure I covered all the bases and all the basics, get that out of the way, and just did it. I just chucked in a couple more extras. Really, I mean, when you're looking to paint quickly, this isn't the way to go. The way I paint, you just like chuck the wash on, maybe a quick dry brush, blah blah blah. You're done. This is more of a different sort of ethos of painting. You can't just say, "Oh, let's just go a few steps further on this whole model." No, you have to pick an area, like say the skin, or the armor, or the clothing, or the accessories, or the base. Pick one of those areas and work on that. And the secret is, guys, just do more highlights. Just keep doing more highlights. Dot highlighting, scratch highlighting, edge highlighting. I mean, the basics edge highlighting will give you a very, very pleasing result anyway. So there's really not much need for anything else. I think doing these cleanup for the fatigues and the uniform, possibly the longest part of this part 4, like the longest section, I should say. And what I'm going to be doing in the future is kind of almost like this, but it won't be as long, hopefully, because I will start painting an area like such as the trousers. Say, for instance, I will say what I'm going to paint, then I will cut and get it all done, and cut back to me doing it. Although you have overwhelmingly voted for seeing the whole thing, but it is a very long video if you do that. So just be warned. I mean, possibly I could do 2 versions, couldn't I? The quick version or the quick video, and the longer video if you want to see it all. But it's all a work in progress at the moment at this point in time. So yeah, just make sure you do, when you do your painting and you're wanting to get a bit of a better, more pleasing result, just make sure you do it on a day when you've got a steady hand, and loads of things can affect that. And I'm not just talking about age. It could be the temperature, how cold you are, your blood sugar levels, like all sorts of things can affect, whether you're hungry or you need food sustenance or whatever. All sorts of things can affect the sort of the minute hand tremor that you get when you're painting. Always brace parts of your hand against a solid surface if you can. You can't always, but if you can, then I recommend you do that. You see here, I've got my left hand. It's braced literally against the desk, or half of my hand, the back side of my hand is braced against the desk, and that reduces any unwanted tremor as well. There's means and ways. You can invest in one of those model holders that I use. I find them phenomenally useful for building. You can get one of those, hold the model, and then you can use two hands braced to do all your painting. That way to do it. Has hurt copper. By the way, has hurt copper. Not a lot to do on this bit. Got those spiky things to do on the base there, though, so put a bit of that on. And as I recall, there was a bit on the scabbard of the sword. I did possibly with that as well. Apologies for not remembering all of it because this was shot a long time ago now, back in the winter anyway. For all I know, it might still be winter, but it was a long time ago. Last year anyway. Yeah, I'm just doing the edge of the scabbard. I mean, you can take it to whatever levels and heights you want to, once you've done the basics. And I'm a very eclectic mix of how I go about doing what I do. Alpha Grey is next. That's the little eagle motifs that I think there's two on the model. But yeah, I don't necessarily do it in a prescribed order, like inwards to outwards. Although that's often times how I do it, or the majority first, like armor, if that's the majority of the model, such as the Space Marine. Then of course I probably would do the armor first. Just makes sense, right? Yeah. But I don't always. Sometimes I leave the base till last. Sometimes I do it quite early on. I like to do the base after I've done the washes, to be fair. But I mean, finishing the base, like doing the rim of the base and that kind of thing. See here, I'm just being very carefully, just picking out the eagle motif there. I didn't want to go all the way up to white, in this anyway, because it can look too garish. Stormhost Silver. Still using an artificial layer brush. I think I used that for majority of this model. Right, so I'm just putting a couple more highlights on these metal spike bits. As you can see, just where light may catch it. I was going to do this model entirely, all the metal entirely in non-metallic metals, but I decided to go. I did like the sword as a non-metallic metal, but I did, as you can see here, I'm doing some true metallic metaling just to finish off. And because I just haven't got the free time available, that's what I'm seriously lacking in my life right now, guys, is the free time. So there you go. And with something like this Stormhost silver, it's a very, very bright silver, so less is definitely more here. It will catch your eye on using the 3 feet rule. It will definitely catch your eye. and look good on the tabletop. Couple of bits I did on the sword, just to give it, I don't know, more of a balance, I suppose, of the two. Her sword has seen a lot of action in whatever campaign she's in my world, so quite dull. I probably will matte varnish her at some point after it's all said and done. But I don't do that in this video. You don't need to see that anyway. You don't see it in most tutorials anyway. Steel Legion drab. So this is my go-to for base rims when it comes to Warhammer. Using a size 0 brush here because it's a bigger size, and I find that a slightly bigger size brush is better for me, at least, when I come to painting the rims of bases. It's watered down, like 1:1. Actually, that's a lie. It's 1:2, 1 part water, 2 parts Steel Legion drab. But 1:1 makes this fine, you know, or even more if you want it to dry quickly. Just do a couple of coats. You can see how it's going to go. I learned a long time ago not to just put it straight from the pot. Never is a good result for that. Even on the rim of the base, something as simple as that. Just water it down. It looks smoother. It dries quicker, and it's just generally easier and more pleasant to do. Once you've got the base done, things start really looking good then. They do in my world anyways. There we are. A nice Warhammer base. Warhammer theme. Just showing all round view. Right, so back to you, Shabty Bone. I'm with a little blob of matte white in the mix. I knew I had to go lighter, but I did slightly miscalculate with this. Yes, it is lighter, but not quite light enough that I wanted to go. But I just carried on anyway. I knew at this point, I was like, yeah, it's not quite bright enough for my taste, how I want it to look at the moment. And bear in mind, it goes on brighter than when it dries anyway. So you start off, it looks all right, you know, but when it dries, it will dry quite dull. So yeah, but it gave me a chance to renew my familiarity with where the bumps and ridges were on the folds of the cloth and all that kind of thing. So all was not lost. I turned it into a positive and just got to refamiliarize myself with the model. So all in all, it wasn't too bad. But I did later on add some more matte white to the mix, a few more blobs of that to kind of really lighten it up. But just going over this, it's a little bit more enhancing the touch up from before. You know, there's about a 4-month gap between the two clips, believe it or not. I really, really appreciate your feedback on these tutorials, guys. This Minka Lesk tutorial in particular, you know, from parts 1 to 4, because I am trying to find a unique style, or one I like to film in, and it's just difficult, you know. Showing you what I've done, I think. Obviously found another area. That's the one reason I like to hand prime models, particularly infantry size models. Gets me familiar with the model, and I don't just blast it all over. I paint it all as if I was painting separate sections. I get a feel of what's easy to access, what's difficult to access, all that kind of good stuff. Practicing some highlighting the edges for the next step. So here we go. A little bit more matte white. Like I said, I added another. It was almost a 1-to-1 mix of white and Ushabti bone at this stage. So now, sorry, it goes out of focus there a little bit. So now I'm highlighting how I want to highlight. See, it's things like this, looking at the focus, thinking, damn, the camera's focusing on my thumb and not the model. I need to use the manual focus. I just need to remember to do it. I need to write myself a little checklist. And that's why doing this is so helpful for me, really. Just get a little checklist of what I need to do, how many frames per second, all that kind of stuff, manual focus, all that sort of good stuff. Just need to get it done. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if my thumb is out of focus, or my hand, or my brush. As long as the model is in focus, that's all that counts. So, you're doing your own tutorials. I'm sure you know all this anyway. Still surprised at how the artificer layer brush is holding up. I think it will be pretty much done after this tutorial in terms of its life. Trouble with Games Workshop brushes is they don't last that long. But fortunately, I've got some Artist Opus brushes for the future for doing tutorials. So that's a good thing. And here we are, just looking at the model. Can't really put it on one of those rotating things at this angle because of the way the camera is. So, showing you all the angles, basically. Thanks ever so much for tuning into this tutorial. I do appreciate it. I know it's time out of your day and that, but hopefully you enjoyed it. Do give the video a thumbs up, like. That's always a good thing. And subscribe if you're not already. Hit that bell button. And if you want to hype the video, please feel free. There you go. Minka Lesk. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.